Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Music for a Book podcast from the Vault. We are your hosts. I'm Britt.
And I'm Hannah.
And we are bringing you a very special episode of the Manuscript today.
Yeah, so we are so honored to welcome back the author of A Sea of Wrath and Scoria, Whit Stanfield herself.
Hi, Whit.
Hi. So glad to be here. Thank you, guys.
Of course. Welcome back. For those that don't know, we did a summer mixtape episode with Whit about the first book in the Naiads of Juile series, A Sea of Song and Sirens. So be sure you read that one and check it out before diving into this. But would you like to say anything about yourself before we get started?
Oh, I'm so bad at this. It's so awkward. It's like when you go to like a work party and they force you to socialize with people.
Oh my God.
And they,
yes.
Yeah, it's like icebreaker.
Say one fun fact about yourself.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I don't know anything about myself all of a sudden. Hi, I'm Whit. I like romantasy. I decided to write a mermaid book kind of on a whim, and it just has taken on a life of its own. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing cool about me. I'm pretty boring.
I feel like being an author is a pretty cool thing, though.
Yeah. A lot to be proud of, for sure.
Exactly. In this episode of the Manuscript, we are going to be chatting with Whit about A Sea of Wrath and Scoria, her creative process, what's next for her. If you are in her newsletter, you have seen that we do have a lot of fun stuff planned. We got that newsletter for books 3 and 4, so can't wait to talk about that.
Yep, and we will be talking openly about her newest book, A Sea of Wrath and Scoria, but don't worry, there will be a spoiler-free section and a spoiler section. We'll alert you several times when spoilers are coming, so if you haven't read it yet and don't want anything spoiled, we ask that you pause the episode at that point and then come back so you can enjoy everything.
So we have some book and theme warnings for A Sea of Wrath and Scoria. Mature language, past trauma, death threats, abduction, imprisonment, coercion, descriptive foreplay and sexual content, violence, mild gore, brief sexual assault, murder, mentions of suicide, death of an animal companion. But as always, you guys know yourself best, so always check your triggers and, be sure that this is something you want to read before you dive on in.
So here we have the synopsis of A Sea of Wrath and Scoria. I never cared about men, until he lit a fire in me, leaving me to burn with every step as we journey a treacherous coastline, a land teeming with enemies. War looms on the horizon. With every mile we draw closer to safety. We plunge ourselves deeper into danger. Pirates shadow us from the sea. A prison guard tracks us on land. A Rivian army waits ahead. And the man walking beside me stirs my siren blood. Every lingering touch, every unspoken word tightens his fiery hold over me. Kai was never part of my plan, and his simmering gold eyes prove as perilous as my vows. But vows and blood exist as two sides of the same coin. And though my vow holds me prisoner, it's my siren blood that refuses to let me walk free.
What a great synopsis.
Really?
What a banger.
Well, thank you.
We love to see it.
I'm excited to get my book because I want to reread it.
Yes.
Well, that is
Yes, because we were both reading it, and obviously it was, when did we read it? Like toward the end of November?
Yeah.
Right around that time. And life is just so chaotic. I would love to sit down and physically read it again. So now we're going to talk about our song choices because obviously we still have song choices when we're talking to authors about their own work. So I'm sure this was so fun to try and narrow down.
Yes. I have two, and I still haven't decided what my two should be. I was going to ask you guys what you thought because I cannot choose. It's impossible.
All right, let's hear them.
So first, I have Castle by Halsey.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's very Marin coded,
yes,
feminine rage, power, whatever.
Yep.
And then I have Power Over Me. I can never say his name. Dermot Kennedy. Dermo. Yeah. Sorry, Dermo. I said your name wrong.
I saw him in concert.
Did you?
He's amazing. Yeah. I went by myself.
Really?
So good. But yeah, so I'm a fan of both. I am obsessed with Halsey and I love Dermot Kennedy.
I love Halsey. I love them both. And so I feel like that Power Over Me is much more like the romance aspect because this is much more of a romance themed book in general.
Totally.
Book 1 is all the tension and this is all the romance. So I literally cannot choose. I read the lyrics and I'm like, this is both the song of my book. So
I was going to say, it's your book. You are more than welcome to pick two because we have had authors pick two. So
especially those
two.
Yes.
We love it. All right, so we got Castle by Halsey and then Power Over You. And then I did like a little throwback moment here, and I actually picked Fool for You by Zane. I went way back into like
yeah.
Mail Archives for that.
And I picked Fresh Out the Slammer by Taylor Swift.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that one.
It's
Oh,
off her newest one, Torture
TTP.
Poets
Is
Department.
it? I haven't listened to
Mhm.
that one a whole lot. I should.
It's so good.
I
It's
bet.
one of
It's yeah.
Britt's
Yeah.
favorites.
Yeah. I it has overtaken my number one favorite Taylor album, which is
Um,
heartbreaking, but
that's
you know.
heartbreaking.
I thought Folklore would always be my baby, and she's not anymore.
Oh,
Nope.
that's such a vibe though. That's such a Taylor Swift vibe. Like each one is just the best.
Mhm.
You just
100%.
pull it out and you listen to it and you're like, no, this is the best. And
Yep.
then all you have to do is listen to a different one, and then you're like, oh,
Whatever's relevant. Yep.
yeah, right.
Recency bias.
Of course.
Love it. So we're going to dive into our chat about A Sea of Wrath and Scoria. And now I'm just going to give a blanket statement that, like, if you move ahead, we're going to do our absolute best to let you know when spoilers are about to happen. But if you haven't read it and you don't want it spoiled, your best bet is to read it, obviously, and then come back and listen once you've read the book. But we're going to talk about like the book inspiration and the writing process first, and then get more into our very raw and real emotions surrounding the book itself.
I know we talked a little bit about it in our summer mixtape about your writing process, but if we can do a little refresh in how this book and going into your third and fourth books, how has your writing process changed as you're going with this, or like what are you doing with your current work in progress?
So I actually had this one about 75% finished when I published book one. So I can't say that my writing process really developed much more. I mean, obviously, like you get better as you go. I'm sure, Britt, you could even attest to like your newest stuff. You read it and then you go back and you start from the beginning at your oldest
Yep.
stuff, and you're like, ugh,
That's
what
been
is this?
my feedback is literally like, oh, I can tell where you like found your voice and hit your stride. And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
which is so cool, but also like shit.
So I don't. Did you ever contact my developmental editor, Jessica? Have you? Did you and her ever talk?
We did. We had she read my first like 10,000 words when I was getting started, just to give me like
Yeah,
a check to see like what the vibes were.
yeah. She and I are basically like author besties. She writes too,
Hmm.
obviously, and so we like on a whim a couple months ago, we were like, find the very earliest thing that you ever wrote,
Hmm.
like as an adult, you know. And then we sent each other a paragraph from it, and it was hilarious to see how terrible they both were. Just terrible, like unreadable. But at the same time, I read hers and I read mine, and we were both like, I can see your voice, like your style is there from the
Hmm.
very beginning. It's crazy, and it's so
Yeah.
crazy to, 3 years later be like, oh my gosh, it was already there. It's been there all along. Because
Yeah.
you definitely have that imposter syndrome when you first start, and you're like, what is my style? What is my voice? How am I going to tailor this? I'm probably going way off on a tangent you guys don't even want. But anyways,
No, I love
No,
it.
you're good.
This is everything.
so yeah, I definitely recommend that. Like at some point, go back at the very beginning, pull up your oldest thing and read it, and be proud of yourself, because I mean, yeah, you grow, obviously, but like it's still there. Your voice was always there. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But my process didn't change a whole lot. The really cool thing about writing this book and having so much of it done when I published book one is I was able to prepare book one for publishing and send it to ARC readers and get feedback. And then I'm so far along in book two, and I'm building up to certain moments, plot twists and everything, and able to be like, I need to foreshadow this a little bit more. And then being
Hmm.
able to go back in book one, because it's like 2-3 weeks away from publishing now,
Yeah.
and insert little tiny details. Really cool. And I really wish I had more of book three and four finished. I don't at this point, but that was really fun to be able to write both at the same time, and work that in.
I love that. Yeah, and it must be so cool. Like with what we talked about in the first episode was like obviously with the fantasy, like you dive in, but you have to pull back and like plot things out. And even when we
Yeah.
talked to you about book one, we already knew like what was coming up potentially for book 3, book 4, like what the map was for that. Now, we have our main characters in Kai and Marin, and did writing either of them or any of your other side characters like surprise you as you were writing this one? How did their story or personality kind of evolve in unexpected ways? I know we talked about the big shift that happened with Kai as you rewrote and edited book 1, but did anything major shift in book 2?
I mean, Kai definitely evolves in a way that's much more visual to readers in book
Mhm.
2, and it was fun to write from his point of view and really explore how that might sound different from Marin's point of view.
Mhm.
And all of the swearing, because Kai's vocal about everything he dislikes. I feel like he complains a lot. Um,
Big mood. Big
he's
mood.
so moody.
Love a good
Every,
complaint.
everything is just inconvenient and pisses him off. And I don't know. That was really fun. I don't know that anyone really surprised me. Because I obviously I had a lot of it done already.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
that anyone surprised me, but it was
I
fun
feel
to
like
write
that's
them for
fair.
sure.
Yeah, especially going into like your second book, I feel like you have a better grip on like who they are and the direction you want to take them and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in this one too, we got some more perspectives from people. How was it writing like different voices and kind of developing their point of views?
It was it was interesting. Nori's chapter is very emotional. I don't want to get into spoilers. We're not there yet,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Nori's chapter is emotional. Um, I don't know that I really delved into her personality because it's a flashback chapter. However, I feel like the Naiads of Juile are loyal to Marin, and you don't know that in book 1.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd be interested to know if you guys felt that or if it's just me.
Yeah, I felt like from book 1, um I didn't know whose side they were actually on and if they were legitimately trying to help her or if it was this like elaborate ruse to kind of like wheel her into something that she didn't fully understand. So I
Yeah,
didn't know
Mm-hmm.
if like I trusted them in some aspects because obviously they had kept her safe and they built this relationship with her, but in other aspects I was like I feel like I can't trust them yet. Like I don't know like what good and what purpose they're serving exactly.
yeah. So in book 2, it's basically in like the last 10 chapters, so it's not a whole lot of book 2, but
Yes.
I feel like at least I tried to show that they're loyal to Marin and that they have been since day 1. I mean, and obviously they didn't go about things the right way, but
Yes.
that that was very honestly that was very difficult. That was one of the most difficult things about this book because I feel like I tried so hard in book 1 to create a lot of mistrust, and then I had to
Yes.
dig all that up and fix it all in a very short span of time. I don't know if that really qualifies, answering the question as far as like perspectives and voice and everything, but um
It does. And
yeah.
I think from like a reader's point of view versus like an author too, I'm like, oh, we finally have like this other chapter, this other like, voice that
Mm-hmm.
it comes off different from me. But for you, it's like these characters are your world and your babies. So you already knew their motivations from book 1, but this is like a new kind of side. So it was a lot of fun to read.
Yeah, and in book
Good.
2, I do think you got it across. Like I once we got the history, the flashback, the backstory, and everything that unfolds that we'll talk about more here in a minute. Like I was like, okay, I understand. Like I get it. We're good. So I feel like it did connect for me. But there was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know if I can trust these bitches. I don't know.
In book 1, right?
Yes, in
Yeah.
book 1. And then come to book 2 and I'm like, I get it now.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yes. And then, we do have an updated map in this book, which is beautiful. We love it. And I know, like, obviously we feel like tied to our first map, the one that because you drew that map, right?
I drew both.
Yeah. Love it. Love, Love the updated one. But I like this question that Hannah had in here. So are there aspects of the worlds that like didn't make it into the book but are significant to you with like the lore and the history of
That's
the
such a
books?
good question. Can you see? This
Yes.
is
Mhm.
actually Selena's island that she grew up on, and it is
Oh,
going to
I'm
be
so
in book
excited.
3.
Oh, I
So,
can't wait.
yes. The answer is yes.
Love it.
Okay.
Do we have anything like non-spoilery else we want to talk about like with the book? Do you want to talk about like the vibes of it or anything like that before we move into like the spoilers?
I feel like I just really leaned into the romance. So in book 1, I told you guys that I reformatted it and rewrote it and pulled a lot of the romancy stuff out
Yes.
just
Mhm.
to create the whole subplot of Kai being enchanted, and I just didn't
Mhm.
have room for all the romance anymore. And so
Yeah.
that was a hard choice and a hard sacrifice, because I had readers that would be like, "Oh, I like this book, but I wish it was more romance driven." And I'm like, "Well, you're telling me. I wish it was too." So, yeah, I feel like I don't know, indulged more than I needed to, but who cares? It's my book.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's the vibe. It's a romance. It's a romantasy. And I don't know that it was quite as plot heavy. The second half was, but
Mhm.
the first half was like Marin and Kai having moments for 60,000 words. I don't know.
Listen, we love those moments.
Mhm.
But we are going to talk about those moments now. So like incoming, we're discussing spoilers, and we're going to start with the first thing that Hannah actually guessed and had talked about last time, and she couldn't believe it. So again, back out now. If you haven't read A Sea of Wrath
Yes.
and Scoria, back out now. That is your final warning.
Yep. Get on the pirate ship. Turn around. Go back.
Head on out.
Yeah, here.
Yes. But okay. I always just let a book be a book. I'm never good at like guessing things, but for some reason, deep in my heart, I thought Selena was her aunt, and I was so happy to be right because so excited about that.
Very proud of you. Good job, Hannah.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah,
Whit, for laying the clues down, though.
I
You're
love
welcome.
that. Especially because we're in Wit's Discord and seeing everyone else's like reactions to it. Hardly anyone guessed that about Selena. So I was like, Hannah, you should be so proud. Like you
I
should be
Yeah,
know.
for
so
real.
proud of yourself.
Yeah, you should.
That's
Trophy
why I was like
moment for
second
Hannah.
guessing myself though, because I'm like, when we read the first one, I was like, it's gotta be, but I don't know. And then when it happened,
So
so
what was
excited.
there anything that like gave it away?
I honestly, I thought it was a vibe that I liked her for some reason. I don't know if something stood out. I think the way that I felt like she kind of like mothered Marin in a way,
Mhm.
and just in like the little things that she would do, and I think that's what kind of gave me the hint. But that vibe there.
Yeah, touching her hair and stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
just
So
the little moments they shared.
I'm listening to the audiobook now. I'm almost finished with it, and then we
Mhm.
submit it for a final approval. And
Yay.
I've counted. I think she touches Marin's hair 4 times. And I'm like, did I need her to touch Marin's hair that much? I just don't know if it's quite necessary, but oh well. Anyways,
Whoopsies.
No, I was very proud of myself, but I'm so excited even more so now for Selena's story.
Yes.
Now that we know kind of where that comes from.
me
Yeah,
too.
and I know we left off on like a massive cliffhanger and everyone's going to die when book 3 comes out and they don't get all of the answers that they want, but we've been excited for Selena's story since the end of book 1, so I feel like we are just like ready to go.
Yep.
I've told people. I haven't like super announced it yet. I guess I announced it in my newsletter today.
Mhm.
So I guess I did announce it, but I haven't had anyone complain. I really thought people would be like, why are you delving from the main story in the middle of the main story and stuff?" But I hope that it'll be obvious when you
Mhm.
finish reading Selena's book, like why I had to backtrack and cover it. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I need to give. We're doing spoilers. Okay. I feel like I
Yeah.
need to
Yep.
give Marin's mom a chance to explain why she would do what she did and
Yes.
Yeah.
basically abandon Marin to an island of people that hate her. And so I feel like moving forward, I had to do the story justice. And even if it's not a full-length novel, I don't know, I just feel like I had to tell Marin's side. Not that I plan on having Marin, like, accept it right away or anything, but I'm all about the reader being informed and making their own decisions as far as motive, and just giving you the chance to forgive somebody even if the character doesn't.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love that too. Because, I mean, the only real piece of Marin's mom we get is truly, like, in the prologue of this book. And we get, you know, that glimpse into it. But I think that's what makes me want to keep reading, is, like, the lore behind the reveal and the why behind what's coming. And, like, you know, we talked about it in the first book too. We have the threes, the prism, we have Queen Marin now. We have so many, like, pieces of the puzzle that obviously tie very largely to the Naiad, like, lore and history and everything that Selena has. So I am excited to, like, make all of those connections.
Me too.
Oh, real quick, we're gonna go funny for a minute. Marin blowing up a man's balls. What an icon.
I got so excited to see that.
What an icon.
Right? Oh.
I don't know what made me write that. I just really wanted her to blow up the guy's.
But it was like,
it was great.
The punishment fit the crime.
Shit on quite a bit.
Yes.
And I feel like she just had this moment where she was like, fuck you, I'm gonna blow up your balls.
I feel like she's like, let's just try it. You know, if it works, it works.
Like, she gave him a warning. Like,
there were multiple warnings. He had ample time.
He had, like, all the information, like, this chick is not fucking around.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, I read that and I was like, this is everything to me.
So glad.
Oh, so funny. There was still, like, I know the first half was romance heavy, but you put them through it. Like, they were captured and then they escaped and then captured and then they escaped.
So if their bond grows stronger every time they save each other's lives, because that's what their quota is based off of, then I don't know. I had to put them through some stuff. I don't know.
I mean, you put them through some stuff, and, like,
I know.
the most anxiety inducing Hannah and I talked about this, and Kristen actually, like, asked a question about this later.
That's what I was gonna bring up.
Yes, please bring it up, Hannah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Kristen asked this question, and I think I had a dream that night that I was, like, drowning. But Kristen's question was, oh my
gosh, that's the second person to tell me they had a dream about this.
But, like, what was your inspiration for the creepy ass ribcage creature?
Verbatim from Kristen.
Kristen also had a dream about it.
So spiders are creepy. I always wanted to write a spider scene, like a giant spider. You know, you have Harry Potter, and in Lord of the Rings, in the third book, Return of the King, Frodo gets attacked by a giant spider, and it's creepy as fuck. And I just wanted. Did you guys say spider or did I say spider?
You said spider.
Fuck. Anyways. Spider. I'm sure you could guess, but anyways, Maren doesn't know it's a spider yet. But
there were a lot of legs. I assumed.
I'm gonna pee my pants. I'm like squeaking. I'm sorry. Anyways,
it's fine. Well, it was creepy as shit. So.
Yes. Just
I had people
imagining this
who messaged me, and both that they were, because a lot of people have guessed that correctly that it is a spider. People have messaged me mad because they have fears of spiders. They have fears of drowning, and both of them are, like, real dangers in that scene. I honestly didn't realize I was going to put people through it in writing that scene. I mean, I just wanted you to worry about Marin. I didn't realize.
That's how much we just connected with the character. We were that worried.
The stress.
Like,
everyone is in severe distress.
I'm sorry. Please don't come for me.
Oh my god.
I mean, I kept reading after that, so it didn't scar me that much.
Yeah, it was very claustrophobic though. Like in a good reader way. Like I was very concerned. Now, obviously, she's a main character, so like I was concerned to like a varying degree. However, that doesn't mean shit because at the end, bye bye to a main character. Hello.
Yeah.
Like
I had one of my beta readers. So in the scene on the mountain where Kai's buried in the avalanche.
Yes.
And one of my beta readers left me a note, and she was like, "This had me really stressed, but I trust you to not kill your characters, so I know he's gonna be okay." And I was just like, "Yeah, he's gonna be fine.
Everything's great. We'll find out.
Great.
We'll find out in book 4. Oh my gosh. Well, what a journey. What a journey. Well, we did find out that they are bonded. That already happened, so we didn't have a risk there like we thought we did. I thought that was super interesting. The way that like
you didn't have a risk. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what do you mean?
Like when she was like back on the pirate ship and stuff like that, like they
Oh,
were actually
got it.
bonded
When
by
she
saving
was,
each
like,
other's
yeah.
lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously there's risk everywhere. There's risk all over this place. But I love that their bond came from like saving each other's lives, and obviously like that has happened several times since then. Is there like anything about that like specifically that stands out to you from like an author perspective? Are we like, how many breadcrumbs do you feel like you left for that, or was that something that you like really wanted a big reveal for?
That was like the very first thing that I thought of in this book was that mermaids mate, but they also like, I don't know, it's either creating or preserving life, and there actually is a third, and that's destroying life, and that hasn't come up yet because I have to have 3s for everything. So I thought that, most naiads would by, mating, and that was just the traditional way for 2 naiads to bond for life or whatever. I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if there's this other way that no one has experienced, like later on, Selena and Felix, are talking about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I guess that would work." But it's like naiads think of it in those terms. Like, I've never heard of that before, but you can bond to the land that way, so I guess you could bond to another person that way. That was the first thing I plotted, and I do feel like I left plenty of breadcrumbs. Wow.
We're all just struggling today.
You jinxed me.
I know.
Whatever those bread thingies. But I feel like it might not be obvious until you go back and start from book 1, if you ever did a reread.
Yeah.
Because I mean, on the
with that audiobook,
we are audio.
There you go.
We'll probably hop up on there.
In the first book, Kai is like all about keeping her safe. Like, he knows something fishy is going on. He's got his eye on her. He sees the shark. He sees Nahetso. He doesn't see Nahetso attack her, but anyways, hides a body for her. Like, he is all about keeping her safe. And I don't know, obviously they're drawn to each other even after the moment where she is taken and coerced and has to sign this contract. And I loved playing with that in book 1, knowing that they were already courted, and just the fact that they can't truly escape each other because they're already bonded, and it was fun. So I hope you guys enjoy a reread.
No, I feel like a reread would be great with this because, like, thinking about it in the way that, like, he intrinsically, like, hated the way that he felt toward her, but also, like, did save her and, like, did have this, like, I think back to, like, the arrow and, like, the need to be protective of her, even though he's like, what the hell is going on? Like, he has no recollection of what's happening in his life. So I do feel like, especially with any sort of fantasy or romantasy, rereads always or almost always strengthen the plot. unless there's like some crazy plot holes
That's so
going on.
true. That's so true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where you like go back and you can pick up on all of these small, minute details
Yeah,
that you
because
might have
there's so
missed the
much
first time
world
around.
building and lore and everything in romantasy, and
Yeah.
yeah, I love that perspective that a reread would strengthen that. I've
Mm-hmm.
never thought about
Yeah.
it before, to be honest, but you're totally right.
And I think too, like when you're absorbing a world for the first time, especially something that's new, like a newer magic system, especially because like I've never read a Naiad like romantasy, and it is like a smaller subgenre, but like we all read what a ton of fays, fairies, dragons, like all of that kind of stuff. So to have something entirely new, I think like a lot of nuance is just whoop, straight over the first time you read it.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still stuck on Selena and her sister. Just like Marin's mother, I still cannot wait for Selena's novella or novel, whatever you decide to read. Right.
It is. I'm in the middle of writing it right now, and it's dual point of view. So you're going to hear from Selena and Siba.
But no, I love like the feminine rage and power, and like to see like Marin's lineage go back. I think will be a lot of fun. And just to see like the depths of her powers in this book too, has been really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few
And
lines from Than where he actually refers to her mother, but you don't know it yet. And and her mother's anger, and I cannot think of where they are off the top of my head, but I know that Marin thinks that she's talking about him, but he's really talking about her mom. Selena does it
Interesting.
too, actually. Selena, when in book one, when Selena is like, Diara, it seems like someone who could use a friend, but I need to warn you, it's hard loving somebody who is angry. She's talking about her sister. So,
Interesting.
okay.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. And like
Love that.
and we found out who the fuck was in Selena's room, because
yeah,
that was a big question that we
Yes.
had.
I hope you guys weren't too confused. I like that scene is so crazy. Because obviously I had to have a big showdown with Than before he takes off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also doing this reveal, and Kai is in the thick of it, and he's fighting for Mary, and he doesn't know exactly what's happening. And I feel like the explanation for Felix is a little bit smushed under everything else. So that was challenging. That was a big worry of mine, that people would be frustrated because it was confusing. It's such a big moment. So I hope you guys didn't experience that too much.
No, I don't think I was confused or frustrated. I might have just missed some of like the details in it, but like it wasn't in a way that I felt like I missed something major.
No, because I feel
Okay.
like too the way it happened, like so much was happening that of course like you're gonna be confused and you're gonna be like, all right, pause a second, like what is going on? But like in a good way, like okay, I need to focus
Yeah.
and like be all in it. But we talk about like on the podcast a lot scenes from a book that we can see as a movie. And I feel like I could see this just like unfolding, and I think that helped not be so like frustrated or anything, and to kind of imagine it and picture it unfolding as it was. So
Yeah.
That's
No, I
awesome.
saw
Thank you.
saw everything there, and like then we had obviously Than's deal with darkness and the whole like him basically, I don't want to say a vessel, but more or less like kind of a vessel, like, and just all of the, I'm just so interested. I'm so interested in everything with Than, because like he's just the worst. Like he's awful. He's terrible, and we hate him, and that's the intention behind him. But it also makes me want to know more about him. Like I don't hate him without purpose, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So did you guys read the full Harry Potter series? Did you read the books, not just the movies? So, question, who do you hate more? Voldemort or Professor Umbridge?
Umbridge, and I was literally just gonna say that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where, like, Than is my big evil guy, but there is a character who's an Umbridge character in the final book.
Okay.
And hoping that, like, yeah, I plan on explaining everything. I think book 3 will explain a lot of Than's, because Selena Selena works more closely with Than than Marin ever does.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
a reader mentioned to me that in reading everything and then looking back, she thinks Selena kind of shielded Marin from it and took a lot of it from Than, and like didn't really let Marin get all of Than's like evilness or targeted
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it's so funny when a reader can dissect something almost better than I can. I mean, yes, she's completely right, but I hadn't thought of it in that way, and
Yeah.
absolutely loved that. I love when like the reader theories go off the rails, and I also love when they're right, and it's just such an amazing, almost like out of body experience. Like, wow. But anyways, book 3 will have a lot more than moments and explanations than Marin's story does.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love that. And like the parallel to like Umbridge and stuff like that, I think the difference is like for me when you have a morally ambiguous or slash evil character like someone like a Voldemort or like a Than or something, there's usually like a driving force behind it. Whereas someone like an Umbridge type character is just doing it to maintain control, power, and
Yeah,
like for like themselves and their own personal gain and like their belief system with less of like a driving force to where even if you don't agree, you would understand what they were doing.
yeah. I could talk about
So,
this subject all day. Like, I love the psychology behind it.
mm-hmm,
Um, I love that in which one is she in? She's in number 5. So
mm-hmm,
Order, is that Order of the Phoenix?
yep,
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you as a reader know her better than Voldemort.
mm-hmm,
And I feel like it's much easier to connect. Like, she's not as evil as him. She doesn't want to take over the world the way he does.
mm-hmm,
She hasn't murdered, like, mass genocide people the way that he has. But you hate her more because, like, you're able to connect with the feeling of someone manipulating you
Mm-hmm.
or
mm-hmm.
targeting you or bullying you. And I don't know. I just love the fact that, like, the mutual entire Harry Potter fandom understands and accepts, like, yeah, Voldemort's the big bad guy, but we hate Umbridge so much more.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah. I love that. I
me
love
too.
when I love when things like challenge you in a way where it's like I don't like it, but I understand it,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, yeah, I hate everything that happened, but I get the why behind it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
All right.
totally.
To change subjects,
Yeah,
I pulled
sorry.
up. No, you're good. I pulled up some of my highlights from my Kindle app,
Mm-hmm.
but the one that I want to touch base on that like made me kind of tear up, which is like such it's a random paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
but it's when Kai talks about seeing his little sister for the first time and like being a first time mom with like my little baby and how he describes just like he's never seen a newborn before and he was mesmerized by her, and it just like made me tear up like looking because I think at this point like I was holding her. I'm just like, oh, that's how I felt too, Kai. I feel you. Like it's just so
Oh,
precious. So I just loved that little scene, and kind of I felt like it showed like Kai's heart with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to shout that little highlight that I had on there.
thank you. My sister inspired that scene. She had a crazy flashback. It sounds crazy. Bear with me. She had this crazy flashback. Was it a dream? I don't remember exactly what it was, but she had this moment where she remembered being a newborn and looking up at our mom, just thinking her mom, our
Mm-hmm.
mother was just the most beautiful thing that lived, like, ever. And as a woman, you struggle with being pretty or whatever, and I think it's amazing that you can have a baby and your baby literally thinks like you are the most beautiful person in the world. Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that's amazing to me. And so I just love that feeling, and I kind of capitalized it for that moment. And Kai, I have a 3-year-old son, And I can only imagine like how much he would just be in love with a baby sister. I don't know. So
And then, like, yeah, to see you, you as the mom, like, gave him the baby sister. Like, how cool
yeah,
like, that dynamic, yeah. But I love the little scene
thank
there.
you.
That's so good. But Kristen also asked if we're going to get more backstory about like Kai's lineage in the final book, and like kind of because we did, get a glimpse into it as he was connecting with Marin. So would you have any plans for that?
I actually have it figured out. I don't know where it's gonna go yet. I have thought about writing a story about Kai's great grandma or some more distant relative that would explain like how his mom came to possess this little box of magic rings or just magic jewelry in general. I haven't quite decided, but I mean I know how she got it. I have kind of a story for her in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
but then I'm also planning 3 spin-offs from this series, and they would go into Hadrian and Janae, which is Kai's sister, and Aaron, which is Kai's friend. So there would be, I think that's how I'm going to tie up the human war. I have a lot to tie up in book 4, and rather than have it all, fight for plot, I think I'm going to branch off and do these spin-offs and tie up the human war that way. So I might explore Kai's lineage a little bit in his sister's book. I haven't quite figured it out yet.
For sure. That's a very fair answer. It's very valid. The pirates are always so stressful to witness and to like to be a part of, anxiety inducing in a good way. Like it sounds, I don't know, talking about it, it must sound like terrible where I'm like, it made me anxious, it gave me nightmares, it made me feel like this, it made me feel like that. And I'm like, no, but like in a good way.
Honestly, like from the perspective of someone writing the book, it's a huge compliment that I did that to you, that you had that
Yeah.
reaction to it, and like that is very that's very nice to hear, because
Yeah.
you don't want someone to be bored. I've read
Yeah.
books where I'm like, I can't connect to the character, like I should be worried for her, but I just don't care. Like, and
Yeah.
that's the worst.
Is there like any last minute thoughts or anything that you want like readers to know about what's coming or about the book itself or the journey that you're taking us on, anything like that?
Just that there is regarding the very end of book 2, there is a
Mm-hmm.
plan. And just please trust me. And I had a lot of people asking me, are Karen, that's their celebrity name, are Marin and Kai
Hashtag Karen.
endgame? Yeah, right? Hashtag
Mm.
Karen. But I've had a lot of people ask me, are they endgame? And I'm not answering anything, but just trust.
I will
We
trust.
trust you.
I will trust. Trust and believe.
Even though, like, the Facebook group, Not Safe from Wit, like, we're not safe from you. Like, you can
That's what I'm
do
saying.
anything. Break our hearts.
That's true.
We're along for the ride. We're along for
Yeah.
the ride.
Yeah, wherever you take us, I mean, we're locked and loaded now. So
Great. That's awesome.
beautiful.
I'll try not to
Uh,
abuse my power.
it's fine. Do we want to talk about our song choices? And Whit, we ended up giving you 2 because both songs were great.
Yeah, so I chose Halsey with Castle by Halsey. She says, sick of all these people talking, sick of all this noise, sick of all these cameras flashing, sick of being poised. Now my neck is open wide, begging for a fist around it, already choking on my pride. There's no use crying about it. I just feel like it really encompasses Marin's anger and just don't fucking mess with me. But then it goes even deeper and it says, I'm headed straight for the castle. They want to make me their queen. And there's an old man sitting on the throne there saying, I probably shouldn't be so mean. And I just love that because obviously I have Fan, and
Yep.
the whole contract he wrote up for her was dependent on her becoming queen, which I can't go into this expressly, because obviously the plot went in a different direction, but he never planned on her becoming queen so that he could keep her, under his thumb for forever. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love this song so much for this book.
It's such a good one.
And then I have Power Over Me. Call and I'll rush all up now. You've got that power over me. My, everything I hold dear resides in those eyes. And he has several moments where he talks about Marin's eyes, and I just love that song for them. But anyways.
Beautiful.
And I feel like the vibe of that song too. Sorry,
yes.
those are like two of my favorite songs.
No, I know. I love
like
it.
Power Over Me, like just the music behind it and like seeing it live too. It's such a great soundtrack song. Like it has so much emotion behind it. It's great.
Yes.
Great choices.
Yes. When they make this a movie. No, I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll be
Listen,
midnight premiere. We'll be there.
I can see it. I can see it in my head. So all of these songs are going to be added to our Spotify playlist, by the way. We'll put them all in here. And I had Fool for You from Zayn. And the reason that I picked it was, well, Kai feels like, I'm a fool for you at this point. Like even everything. But the song opens up with "This love is tainted. I need you and I hate it." And what better to describe that than the fact that their love is quite literally tainted from the start by the fates, and there's nothing that they can do about it. Like, just point blank period. But you're caught between a dream and a movie scene in a way, you know what I mean? When the dark turns to mist, I just can't resist it. So even like, because I'm a fool for you and the things that you do, like that's just the whole point of the song. Like, because it's going to defeat me, you won't believe me, I'm a fool for you. Even when Kai gets the reveal of everything, and even when he understands all the stuff, he's like, I just can't resist this. Like, I can't resist you. I am a fool for these things. And I mean, he is the one that low-key ends up dead at the end of book 2. So who's the fool?
Low-key death.
Low-key dead.
Sorry.
So yeah, Kai is absolutely a fool for Marin. And we see that. And even in the ways too that he's physically bonded to her and he wants to protect her, even like at the risk of himself. Like, that's just, I think, built into the story naturally. But it's very dramatic, and it feels, I don't know, Kai feels dramatic to me, so it just felt very on brand.
He is kind of dramatic. He's kind of a whiner, but I love him.
We love him for it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah.
He's also I try to make him very vulnerable, especially in his own head. So I mean, yeah, he's dramatic, but like then you get to his chapters and he kind of hates himself a little bit.
So I picked Fresh Out the Slammer by Taylor Swift. So a couple lines that really stood out to me. Well, I'm going to jump right to the chorus and then I'm going to backtrack. But the chorus is, now pretty baby, I'm running back home to you. Fresh out the slammer, I know who my first call would be too. And I think for so long, especially in like the first part of the book when it's just those two and they're kind of learning to adapt to each other and really kind of realizing that they ultimately love each other, right? And it's that just they're out of the slammer. They keep coming, like going in and out of these situations, but they know who their first call would be too, is to like save each other and kind of that bond that they have. And there's a couple lines like, handcuffed to the spell I was under for just 1 hour of sunshine. This is another like big vibe song for me that I can just like see playing in the background of their just back and forth in their relationship. At the end, it's like, to the one who says I'm the girl of his American dreams, and no matter what I've done, it wouldn't matter anyway. Ain't no way I'm gonna screw up now that I know what's at stake. And so I think that's just kind of where they're at. Like, there's so much at stake, they're not gonna screw it up. Like they just know each other by this time, and they're their first call for sure.
It's such a
You'll
good
have
song.
to listen to it, Whit, because it's a good one.
I will listen to
it. One of my top 5 on TCPD. What a banger. Beautiful. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening to this beautifully chaotic episode of the Manuscript. And a huge thank you to our fave Whit Stanfield for joining us today and sharing so much about A Sea of Wrath and Scoria and what's to come and just yapping with us in general because we love it.
Yes, and if you don't already, please go follow Whit on her social media platforms at Whit Stanfield Author. Also, be sure to read the series if you haven't, because you made it this far. Obviously, you're interested, so you need to read it if you haven't already. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. And where else can readers find your book?
So we're everywhere. That's online retail, but obviously Amazon. I am selling signed copies out of my Etsy, so check that out too. I've got other goodies in there as well.
Yes. I can't wait to get mine. And also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Patreon, YouTube, and be sure to rate and review the podcast. You can also leave comments on Spotify episodes now. Britt, I usually pick what are we putting in the comments this time?
Oh, what's our comment? Can we make it spider?
Sure.
Ooh, yeah. The spider emoji or a spider.
Yeah, our code word is spider. So spider or the spider emoji, please and thank you. Or the web, whatever the vibe is.
Yes. And please also give us your thoughts on book recs on social. That's how we found Whit, is one of our friends that recommended this book. And here we are. So let us know what you're reading.
Yes. And we will see you all on Wednesday, February 5th for a review of Playbook by Rebecca Genshak. Anything else that you want to add on?
I just thank you guys so much for having me again. I'm obsessed with you both. Like, I love being here. You're so fun. We've only spoken like a few times, but I literally feel like I've known you both forever. So it's just so fun to hop on here and just kick back and chat. And as an author, like, obviously I've read books and then I go and I chat with my friends and it's very fun. But I don't know that I have very many instances of like being able to chat with readers about my book.
Mm-hmm.
And when you spend years of your life dreaming something up, I don't know, it's just fun to talk about and delve into. And I just so appreciate being able to do that with you guys. So thank you so much for having me. Shout out to Kristen. I love you, Kristen. In fact, if we ever do this again, we should invite Kristen.
Oh my God, yes.
She's amazing, and I just am so thankful to be invited back.
No, we love having you. It is truly a treat. And like now for me, at least being on the other side of it, like I just love hearing about everyone's process and kind of seeing what they all go through. But obviously we will be talking to you about book 3 and everything that's coming out with that.
I hope so. I'm so excited.
Cannot wait.
So excited for that. All right, everyone. Again, we'll see you Wednesday, February 5th for the Playbook, our Super Bowl themed episode. We had to do a football theme, obviously.
And remember, keep reading with kindness.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.